Okay, it's live now.
Chair, you can start.
Right, we are done that, yeah? Okay. Right, welcome to today's hearing. My name is Councillor Cordier, and I shall be chairing the hearing. My colleagues, Councillor Munro and Councillor Sumner, and I comprise today's subcommittee for this expedited review hearing. We have also with us Alison Luck is the legal advisor to the subcommittee. Also present are Misha Jalil, who is the clerk to the subcommittee and will be minuting the meeting. I would like to ask all attendees to introduce yourselves, please. Who can start?
I'm Mr. Panchal, today present here, along with our counsel, Mr. Tom Griffiths, who will introduce himself, and I've got the client, Jeet Talwar.
Sorry, Mr. Panchal, who is with you?
Harjeet Talwar, the license holder and the DPS of the premises.
Right, right.
He's
Who,
here.
who else?
Sorry, he's here in my office, Chairman.
All right.
If there was anything to ask for, but we have Mr. Tom Griffiths from Citadel Chambers, who's going to be representing us and doing the talking. If there is anything required, we will be assisting Tom. I'll now ask Tom to introduce himself.
Good morning, Chair. I'm Counsel Mr. Griffiths, instructed on behalf of Mr. Talwar.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Right. Who else is in the meeting? Right. We got Carrie Smart and Heather Oliver. Vicky already stated earlier on that she is present with us from the police.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning.
Of the live stream, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Heather Oliver. I'm counsel instructed for the Metropolitan Police, and I'm assisted by PC Kerry Smart and PC Vicky Hewison, also in attendance.
Right. Yeah.
Good morning, Chair.
Good morning, Chair. I'm PC Kerry Smart, Police Licensing Officer.
Oh, good morning, Kerry.
Lastly, for the police, good morning, Sergeant Graham Edwards, Metropolitan Police Licensing for West Area.
Right, right. Graham Edwards. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now I would like to invite the applicant, the police, to represent their report.
Thank you, Chair. Application is made in this case for a summary review of the licence that is held by Jeet Food and Wine, a premises located at 61 The Green in Southall, UB2 4BL. Can I just check that you have an agenda pack of some 68 pages? That is the agenda pack that I have been sent. And I hope that is what you have in front of you and your committee members have in front of you as well.
Yes, we have indeed.
I'm very grateful. I don't think that included the premises license, but I hope that you also have a copy of that in front of you.
Yes, we do.
We do.
Thank you very much. This application is brought in light of serious concerns that have arisen in relation to crime and disorder associated with this premises. And the concerns are such that it is the view of the police that it is appropriate to suspend the licence obtained by this premises under your interim powers, pending a full review in 28 days' time. You'll see from the licence that the licence holder and designated premises supervisor is Mr. Harjeet Singh Talwar, who attends in the office of Mr. Panchal. And you'll see that the licence authorises the retail sale of alcohol with relatively wide hours of operation. The legal framework for this application falls under section 53A and B of the 2003 Act. it's probably uncontroversial to say that Section 53A has been satisfied in this case, insofar as this is a premises that is licensed for the sale of alcohol, and the relevant certificate by a superintendent has been provided. That's at page 11 of your agenda pack. And that superintendent confirms that it's his opinion that this is a premises associated with serious crime. And the question for you and your colleagues on the subcommittee is whether it is necessary to take interim steps pending a full determination of under review of this licence, and that's under Section 53B. The steps available to you today are to modify the conditions of the licence, to exclude the sale of alcohol from the licence, to remove the DPS, designated premises supervisor, or to suspend the licence. And no doubt you'll be familiar with guidance issued under the 2003 Act, that the test for determining the kinds of conduct which fall under the definition of serious crime include either an offence for which an individual of 21 years or over of good character might reasonably expect a sentence of 3 or more years, or conduct that involves the use of violence. And either or of those provisions in my submission are engaged in this case. If I can briefly take you through the facts of the trigger incident that has precipitated this application. On the 3rd of May of this year, of course, at about 6:15 in the evening, police were called to Osterley Park Road. You have a record of that 999 call at page 19 in your bundle. The reference is CAD 5249. Essentially, the informant on that call said that she had come out of a corner shop and that that a man had assaulted her and her partner. That man is believed to be the owner of the shop. Her husband had intervened when the man tried to fight her, is what she says on the call. And the suspects were recorded as stamping on her husband's head. And she's recorded as saying she believed the suspects were drunk. There's also a further CAD reference, CAD 5339, timed about 9 minutes after. It's timed at 18:24. That's at page 35 of your bundle. The contents of that CAD are not particularly clear, but it appears that it's been triggered by a personal alarm going off in the vicinity of the shop. There's some commotion that can be heard in the background. Perhaps more useful is the crime report, which you have starting at your page 41 in the bundle. But the most important and relevant part of it for our purposes is at page 61 of the bundle. And that includes the following summary of what has been alleged in relation to these premises. It says that on Monday, the 3rd of May, police were called to Osterley Park Road at 6:15 in the evening, where it was alleged that shopkeepers from the corner shop had assaulted a male and stamped on his head. 2 officers arrived at the scene 5 minutes later. Both suspects and the victim were still present. It was alleged by the female informant, who appears to be the same female who was behind the CAD message, the 999 call. It was alleged by her that she was in the corner shop on the green when both suspects were making derogatory comments towards her, saying that they loved her, and you can see the language that was used. I'm not going to read that out unless you would like me to. The female's husband has overheard these comments and come in to challenge both of the males. An argument has then taken place where the victim has heard what has been happening and told both of the males to be more respectful. Then one of the males, not believed to be Mr. Talwar, but to be someone else who was with him in the shop, has then punched the victim to the head, and Mr. Talwar, who's the DPS, has swiped the victim's legs away with his own foot, causing him to fall to the ground. The victim was then allegedly sustained to a violent attack where he was repeatedly kicked and his head was stamped on by both of the males. After this, the males have walked down Osterley Park Road where they were stopped by officers. An account was taken from Mr. Talwar and the other suspect. They suggest that the incident was in fact instigated by the alleged victim after he had pushed out at them. And they say that they had then retaliated and punched out at him. And they say another male has picked up a brick and swung this towards him, causing a graze on his right hand. The opinion of officers is that both males, so Mr. Talwar and his associate, were intoxicated. That is echoed in the 999 call from the female informant, who says that she thinks both males were drunk. And the summary also indicates that there is an independent witness who has corroborated the account given by the female informant, stating that he saw both suspects kicking and stamping on the victim's head. The victim's injuries were 2 1-inch cuts to either eyebrow. He didn't require, as I understand it, ambulance service intervention. So that really is the nub of the incident that has given rise to this application. And in my submission, that clearly falls within the definition of serious crime, according to the guidance that you have. Both suspects were arrested for grievous bodily harm. I understand that both have been bailed to a later date. You also have in your bundle, and really this is supplementary to that key event, a further allegation made by, we understand, the female informant who made the initial 999 call and is the wife of the eventual victim. That's made at 13 minutes past 11 on the same evening. And it's CAD reference 7184 and is included at page 27 of your bundle. During that call, she alleges more long-running, effectively harassment from by Mr. Talwar and the second suspect under the GBH allegation. She suggests effectively that they've made sexual gestures to her on multiple occasions when she's visited the corner shop, blown kisses, and repeated the suggestion that they want to have sex with her in more vernacular terms than that. All of this gives rise to serious concerns about crime and disorder associated with this premises, particularly given the conduct by Mr. Talwar. It's a serious assault that has taken place on the husband of the female informant, who was a customer in the shop, aggravated by the suggestion that there has been ongoing sexual harassment to her as a customer in that shop. Unfortunately, there was no CCTV available when officers attended. Mr. Talwar informed them that the CCTV system didn't record. It only gave a live feed, although I'm informed by officers that recorded CCTV has been obtained in the past from this premises, and inquiries will no doubt be ongoing in that regard. There's also a concern that as the designated premises supervisor, Mr. Talwar appears to have been intoxicated while discharging his duties on the occasion of the 3rd of May. That in essence is the application. I don't intend to call any witnesses at this case, but at this stage, but of course, you know that you have PC Hewison and PC Smart who can no doubt answer questions if you have them, or I can assist.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Thank you. Now, I will ask premises to ask questions.
Chair, there are no questions in respect of the outline that's been given by my learned friend, Ms. Oliver.
No questions.
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Councillors, any questions?
No, Chair. Thank you.
No.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I would invite the premises to represent their case.
Chair, there is a document that I don't believe you or your colleagues will have been given. That was a document given to me this morning at approximately 10:20, which is from the lady who makes a complaint about the original incident. It has been sent to Miss Jalil, but I don't know whether that has been forwarded on to you. But for the benefit of all concerned, I will read it whilst not disclosing the name of the lady who makes the complaint. She says, "My name is," and then gives her name, and has said, "I made a complaint about sexual harassment, which was a misunderstanding to the owner of Jeet Food and Wine. I don't want nothing to do with it anymore, as he is my local shop. I don't want to go any further with it. It wasn't Harjeet Talwar," and then she names another person who was a customer in the shop at the time. "It was the third person fault. I don't know who he is, and I want to be left out of this." She's then signed it with her name and given her telephone number. And for full disclosure, that has been sent via email to Mr. Talwar from the lady's husband, who is also the person it is alleged was assaulted on that occasion. I know that the police will take note of that email and will obviously follow that up in respect of their inquiries. But for the purposes of Mr. Talwar's representations, he says that there were no lewd comments made to this lady, that there was a discussion between him and the lady's husband. However, this was not insulting or abusive in any way. A member of the public, believed to be this third person who the lady describes, has involved himself in an incident, believing it to be either abusive or for whatever other reason he involves himself. This has then caused an altercation between the lady's husband and this third person. Any form of push, which is the absolute extent of Mr. Talwar's involvement in the incident, is as a result of the altercation that is ongoing in front of him. There is a vehement denial in respect of any stamping to the head or any further abusive or violent conduct with respect to Mr. Talwar and this gentleman, and a vehement denial as to any further or lewd comments made to the lady herself. In respect of the CCTV footage, I'm informed this morning that that does not or has not recorded because the CCTV has been recently replaced. The inside of the shop has been refurbished, which is why CCTV does not exist. But of course, according to the license conditions, it would be required to be recorded for a set period. So much that the brick also is involved in the incident. That again is picked up by the third person and not by Mr. Talwar. Whilst it is suggested within the summary of the incident that this happened at the shop, in fact that it doesn't. It happens outside the shop some way down the road. I believe police have already sought to make inquiries as to whether there's any CCTV of the incident, but haven't been able to find any. I know that there is what's described as an independent witness who corroborates part of the account given. That statement has not been disclosed. I understand the name of that person could not be, but certainly the substantive nature of the corroboration could have been, but hasn't. But now this lady has provided a further account, albeit a retraction or at least a reversal from the original complaint. There is now been brought into a position some controversy as to whether the complaint in itself is true or whether the witness who now has corroborated the incident may not have seen what he or she suspects to have seen. My respectful submission that there is nothing which ties Mr. Talwar now, given this new statement, to the incident. I accept that if there were injuries in which he could be placed either via CCTV showing him to be the aggressor or involved, then that certainly would provide him some difficulty. But I would respectfully submit that there is no need for suspension at this stage. And given that I believe the review hearing is set for the 19th of this month, that is some only 12 days away, that the matter could be left as is or with minor modifications to the license until that review hearing, when the full disclosure of the evidence can be provided to the committee.
Right. So now you don't have any more witness, or you don't want to state any more?
I don't intend on calling any witnesses.
Right.
The committee can, of course, ask Mr. Talwar about the incident should they wish. My only caveat with that is that his English is distinctly poor, and so Mr. Panchal would need to translate for him.
Yeah. Let me tell you, Mr. Griffith, we have seen the statement. You referred that woman. We have seen it earlier on. Thank you. Now, I would like to ask the applicant if they have any questions.
No questions on the basis of that outline and on the basis of Mr. Talwar's English not being excellent. I don't think it's appropriate to cross-examine him on this at this stage.
All right, right. Councillors, any questions?
No, thanks.
Not from me, thanks, Chair.
No, right. Okay. So I would now be heard from this case from the applicant and the premises. If the premises want to add any more, they can, I'm giving them a little bit more time, they can do so. Or do they have any more? Do you want to say any more, Mr. Panchal? You're
Chairman, I have spoken very much so. As you are aware, and as we were appointed at the very last minute, and we've gone through quite a bit of time with the applicant, sorry, with our clients,
yeah.
and they deny what has happened. They also deny that there is any altercation. The main thing that we've been hearing, from the best of my knowledge, is that the client or the lady who has put the complaint in is a regular customer at the shop. Even after the incident, she has visited the shop on regular basis, purchasing her things. So that surprises me, that how come the complaint has gone so far when the complainant has a good relation with the customer. It's like a hate and love relation that is going on, but there is nothing of that sort. My client has not made those comments that are seen there, and she's now agreeing to say that that's what we are hearing from the client at the moment, that there is still a relation. She comes to utilize the shop. There is nothing between them, or there's nothing that my client has said which is stated in the statement. So there is a lot that we've heard from the client, that things have not happened, and we see what we on the report. So that's all I can say on behalf of the client at the moment, Chairman.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Panchal. But I have a couple of things to probably ask to Mr. Talwar. That although the CCTV was not functioning, or it's not in operation, in the police statement in the report states that Mr. Talwar was intoxicated. And we know that he is the premises license holder as well as a designated supervisor. So how much did he actually drink that evening?
Chair, I don't know if I can answer that on Mr. Talwar's behalf. I've taken instructions on that matter.
Right.
He specifically says that he would have normally finished work at 4 o'clock. The reason that he was there at that time was because he was merely restocking shelves. He was not discharging his duty as designated premises supervisor in selling alcohol in any event. Because the incidents happened outside the shop and not in it, when he left work with a single bottle of beer. That was what he was drinking. He had not finished that bottle of beer, and that was the only form of alcohol that he had had at the time. So he was in drink, but I wouldn't go as far as saying intoxicated, as one would normally understand the word to be utilized as drunk.
All right. Now you, Mr. Griffith, you're saying that this incident happened outside the premises.
It does happen outside rather than inside the shop itself, yes.
All right. Okay.
Chairman, I can even confirm to you that when we say outside, it was quite further away from in the street of the alleyway, not even near the shop.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. Councillors, do you have any questions to raise?
No, thanks, Chair.
No.
Chair.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. What we will do that now, so we don't have any more questions, and we will retire to make our decision. We'll be back.
Chair, you might want to ask whether the applicant wishes to sum up.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry. I have completely.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Yeah.
Can I say this at the outset? Your task is not to hold a trial within this forum of Mr. Talwar's criminal liability, but to decide whether it is necessary to deploy your powers under the interim steps process. It is clear that this is a serious crime has taken place in my submission, and that it is associated with the premises. You have before you a police report which details how at least 2 witnesses plus the victim observed Mr. Talwar to be involved in an assault that involved stamping on the victim's head. I would urge you to be extremely cautious about the weight, if any, you put on this new document that has been presented to you by the licence holder. This is not a new statement. It is simply a copy of an email. It has no statement of truth attached to it. It is not taken by a police officer. It is not included in a police report. The evidential value of that email is, in my submission, pretty much 0. I have, of course, seen the names that are on that email. I have a copy in front of me. The name of the email address from which it appears to come is not the name of the victim of the GBH, nor is the author of that email the victim of the GBH. It purports to come from the female informant who makes the first 999 call and then makes the further 999 call about sexual harassment. Even at this early stage, I would urge you to be very wary about the circumstances in which that email comes before you. You've heard nothing about how that email came to be in the possession of the licence holder, how it became to be written. Was it asked for? Was it given unsolicited? How did it come to be before you? What you do have is a very clear 999 call, 2 very clear 999 calls alleging a serious assault in one, an ongoing sexual harassment in the other, and a police report which details the same allegation. So in my submission, the concerns raised by the police in this application survive the service of that document. And the concerns are that this is a premises that has been associated with a serious crime, aggravated by the lack of CCTV and the apparent intoxication of the DPS. And those concerns are such that you should give consideration to suspending this licence pending a full review, unless I can assist any further at this stage.
Thank you. Thank you, Vicky. Now I would like to invite premises to brief sum up.
I think, Councillor, they've already done that, and the applicant should be the last to speak in these.
Right.
And unless they did have any further points to make, but I don't. But I think that's already been covered off.
Right.
No, Chair, it's been dealt with. I accept the procedural point.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I would like to let you know that the panel will retire to deliberate together with the legal advisor and clerk to offer time to recommends, but we will take about half an hour to come back. So I would like you to wait for us to come back.